we took two of the world's toughest trucks.
I appreciate your feelings about your truck.
This thing rules. The thing rules.
Oh, hey, what's up? I'm Brian Altano.
And I'm Max Scoville.
This is a show where we discuss something we love,
Unpack why we love it,
explain where it came from,
try to remember our first impressions of it,
share our weird stories about it,
maybe learn something new about it along the way.
but first and foremost, we're here to celebrate the fact that this thing rules. So, Max,
Yeah.
why do trucks rule?
Well, hold on. Before we get into that, I want to just clarify something. Last week, we talked about a specific type of truck, which was the ice cream truck, but that was mostly about the stuff that is inside the truck. But this week, I would like to talk about the truck, the vehicle, which is a kind of a large blanket term, kind of just goes all over the place and, you know, covers a lot of things, like maybe like a paver or a steamroller of some sort. A truck can mean like a pickup truck, or it can mean a very complicated piece of specialized construction equipment. Whatever it is, I would like to just also say up front that neither one of us are particularly automotively inclined, but we have a very earnest and passionate and casual appreciation for those heavy-duty motor vehicles known as the trucks.
Agreed. I've said this before, but you and we're both action figure kids, and there are action figure kids, and there are car kids, and car kids get cars and they get a bunch of Hot Wheels and they play with them and stuff like that. Action figure kids get a bunch of like little men and they pose them and stuff like that. There is a lot of crossover though, because small people do have to go inside the cars sometimes, and sometimes the action figures come with big vehicles, and those are great.
That's true. No, I also want to point out, like, I think that everybody is a truck person at some point. I feel like that's one of those things, like, it's like trucks and dinosaurs are like those primordial fascinations, particularly for little boys, not to be too sexist about it, but like, I don't know. I imagine when you were a kid, you had little toy trucks and stuff.
I did. I loved. So I was thinking about what the first truck that I ever really loved. I can tell you the story of the first truck I ever loved and the first truck I was ever scared of. Starting with the first truck I ever loved. There was an action figure series called Mask, and it was just literally dudes that had helmets on. Not even really masks so much. It was just helmets that they wore. I don't know why they called it that. Probably because if they called it helmets, people would be like, well, that's stupid.
Well, it was an abbreviation, wasn't it? It was like Mobile Assault Specialized Command or something.
Yeah, and helmets would have been like Harry, Edward, Leonard, Matt. Like, it would have just explained all their names. No, so Mask was a series of small, sort of surprisingly articulated figures, not like G.I. Joe level, but like they moved around better than most figurines at that scale, and they came with big vehicles, and you could take their helmets on and off, which were masks. And I loved it, and I was playing at a friend's house, who's not a friend, who wasn't a friend for long after this, and I accidentally broke one of his toys, and he was like, all right, well, that means I get to break one of your toys. And I was like, wow, I don't like the rules of childhood already. So he took my truck from Mask, this cool red truck, and went up to the second story of his building that he rented with his mom, who recently got divorced, and dropped it and exploded. And that sucked. But that was my first truck toy, and I never got it again. So maybe I'll hunt that down.
Okay, well, I actually have great news for you. First of all, it is Mobile Armored Strike Command.
Okay.
Mask was really kind of this wonderful hybrid of G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, and Transformers, in that it was like little dudes and then vehicles that sort of transformed. But I always love that they were like the most half-assed transformations, where it'd be like a Camaro with gull-wing doors, and then the gull-wing doors would turn into wings with missiles on them. Or like, I don't know, like a helicopter that the blades would turn into wings, which makes it just a plane, I guess. But I like that we're like, let's talk about trucks. Anyway, here are trucks that are made up and forgotten. They're doing a new Mask toy line. There's like one of the companies.
Oh yeah, I read about that. That's awesome.
And I think they're just recreations of the original. I always like those toys a lot. I thought they're really fun scale.
Yeah, no, I wanted to point that out just because it's a precursor to one of the most famous trucks that people like us know about, which is Optimus Prime, which I'm sure we'll get into. But he was my sort of like the Mask truck was my prequel to Optimus Prime, which is Optimus Prime was obviously one of the most sort of iconic toy, TV, movie, video game, everything trucks, right? Everybody loves that truck.
Sure.
He's
the truck, for the record, was the Rhino.
Oh, Okay.
It's a red one. Yeah, it's a red
Yeah.
one. Yeah. There was also a blue one, but they had a lot of trucks, I guess.
But the first truck I was scared of was not really the truck, but the person in it was Large Marge in Pee-wee's Big Adventure because her eyes bugged out using claymation. I didn't know a woman could do that.
Wow. Okay. I like that I'm like, trucks, a universal thing that all people can appreciate. And you're like, Mask, the toy line that people forgot. And one scene from
An old
Pee-wee's
lady
Big
who
Adventure.
just happened to be driving a truck.
You know what? Sure.
She could have
fuck
done
it.
that in
Why
any
not?
vehicle, really.
Yeah, so I don't know. I love that the term truck again has like it casts a pretty wide net. Actually, boats do that, but trucks do. They have they have like they pull a pretty long convoy. There was a stretch there where truckers they had this like weird kind of cultural fascination. There was there was a whole like there were songs about like convoys and stuff, like trucker hats were a whole thing. Truckers were seen as like these almost cowboy like figures. And there's a handful of movies. There's like Every Which Way But Loose, where there's Clint Eastwood and a chimpanzee as the truckers, and there's Spielberg's first movie Duel is about like an evil truck that's chasing. It's like Jaws with a truck.
It's a made-for-TV movie, and if you haven't seen it and you're listening to this and you like his movies, hunt it down because it's super fun. It's like obviously rough around the edges, but has all of his sort of quintessential Spielberg trappings.
No, it kicks ass.
Yeah.
There's the classic Sylvester Stallone arm wrestling movie Over the Top, where Stallone plays a trucker who does lots of arm wrestling at truck stops, and the whole thing is I think he's got to like get his truck back or alimony payments or something. I forget, but he's
got to get parts for the truck or something.
Trucker was like a really like that was just a cool fucking job for a minute there. But that's like specifically like truck driver. I want to talk about just kind of like I want to talk about some crazy ass trucks. They come in all shapes and sizes. They don't make round trucks, I don't think. Maybe they do. I don't think maybe one or two triangle trucks. Mostly they're like kind of squarish,
A triangle truck
sizes.
would that be like if Doritos had like one of those like Nathan's hot dog cars? Like it was just like a
Yes, it would.
Would it be sideways or flat?
I don't know, man.
Like a B-52 bomber on the road, but
that would be really probably not practical.
Cheeto dust.
I drive a stealth truck, and it's just a large triangle with wheels.
That's also bright orange
not
and
great.
reeks of cheese.
No, I looked this up. I was kind of like curious, like what is this again? This is stuff that a 6-year-old would Google if they could type. I Google what is the biggest truck, and as of I don't know, the past 10 years, the biggest truck is the Belaz 7571.
Wow.
70. How do you even say that? That's like a whole serial number. They should shorten it. They should do like the 757, like a jet or something. That is one of those big ass like ultra haulers, like those things you see at like mines, where it's the truck is, the tire is taller than a human man. It's just, and you got to get on a little ladder to go up in the cab to drive it.
Did they put that in Guinness Book of World Records next to the guy with like the weird fingernails that are like 11
I think they're probably
feet long?
further away. I feel like they probably have like a whole vehicle section, but they're definitely in the same book. I also feel like if you're looking at Guinness Book of World Record books, I don't know if they have this one. This is like this one was revealed in 2013 or like entered the market in 2013. It's from a Belarusian construction vehicle company. It is 20 meters long, 8 meters high, and 360 metric tons. It is a big fucking dump truck. It is a fat ass dump truck.
So they finally made a truck bigger than your dad's
there
dump
it
truck
is.
ass.
There it is. Yeah.
My brother gave my daughter for her 7th birthday a 2018 Guinness Book of World Records, and at first I was like, oh, was that like a good year for them? And then I was like, oh, that's when she was born. It took me too long to put it together. I was like, a lot of these might have been usurped by now,
Yeah, that's an odd one. It's also they gotta send like a judge out to judge it. I don't know. If I feel like they just probably send a picture of the truck and they're like, it's huge, and they're probably like, fine, we approve it. These things cost like $6 to $8 million. And what I love is the mileage is like, I think it's like 0.18 miles per gallon or something.
What do they put in these things?
Like rocks, dirt.
Really?
Bigger rocks. Like if they're building a quarry or they're like digging a mine or something, this is like that kind of shit. They have like just massive excavation projects.
You think how many president heads from Mount Rushmore you think could fit back in that thing?
I don't know. How big is Mount Rushmore?
I don't know. A lot of people say it's actually smaller than it looks in postcards.
Yeah, I believe that. My frame of reference for that is entirely like North by Northwest, and I haven't even seen that in like 15 years. So I
For
don't.
me, it's Team America World Police.
I forgot. Don't they live in the head in that
They
movie?
live in that.
That's pretty funny. I need to watch that again. I haven't seen that in
They have
Christ,
sex in it.
Yeah, they do. I haven't seen that movie in like 20 years. I saw the director's cut when it first came out on
Yeah.
on DVD, and I was like, no, thank you. I'm good on the puppet fluids. Anyway, the smallest truck is the Changli Explorer, which is a truck that is so small that it gets shipped to you in a cardboard box. It is about 1 ton. It's probably like a pretty sturdy cardboard box. It's about 3.5 meters long, and it's a little electric truck that you can order. They send it to you in the mail, I think, and
What?
it costs about $2,000. And it's like this novelty. It's from China.
Oh,
I think
Chang Li, not Changli, like dangly, but like almost like Chun Li, like Chang Li.
Yes,
Li Explorer. It's adorable.
it's adorable.
Yeah.
I love these little trucks.
It's
They're
too
super
adorable, actually.
Yeah, it's a. But what's cool is it's got a little bed in the back, like a little pickup truck. But it's a little dump truck. Like you can lift up the bed and like dump stuff out. Like you can use it for garden projects or whatever. There's a bunch of videos of just weirdo EV YouTubers being like, yeah, I bought this thing to kind of mess with it and see what happened. It's actually surprisingly pretty cool. The problem is that because of various regulations stateside, it's like a huge hassle to import these things.
Yeah, we here in America, we only allow the biggest commercial vehicle you've ever seen when it comes to a regular guy driving a truck.
Yeah.
Like, it is worth, I don't want to get into all that here because I do want to celebrate how good trucks are, but it is worth pointing out that here in the States, if you're listening elsewhere, this might not have happened to you, but here in the States, they have been slowly turning up the heat on the size of trucks. Like there's just a guy with a wheel looking back over his shoulder and just turning the dial, and trucks keep getting bigger and bigger. And it started off as like sort of SUVs, and then the Ford F-150s, and like the stock versions of those are like bigger than the biggest trucks were 10 years ago. It's sort of like when you like there was that war of like supersize sodas and stuff like that. So that just keeps happening here. So we get to see trucks constantly. We get to see people who really have no business.
Yeah,
like literally aren't in the business of trucking at all.
I'm generally pretty underwhelmed by like pickup trucks unless they're doing something pretty wild, like unless they're really little or really big. Like as much as I'm not wild about like those, like the lifted pickup trucks, but at the same time there is something I can appreciate about going to the effort of getting a regular truck and doing as much as you can to make it a monster truck without actually having a monster truck. Like as impractical as that may be, just being like, yep, I'm going to make a truck that if I fell out of it, it would hurt. I mean, that's true of, I guess, a lot of trucks, but like really, if you need to like, you need to get like a little step ladder to get in there. That's kind of wild.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Like there was a whole thing. There was some stupid thing on the internet. There's always some stupid thing on the internet, but they're those little like, I guess like Japanese like micro trucks or whatever, similar thing to the little Explorer guy. But they're super common for like, I don't know, small scale deliveries over there. And there's this whole kind of trend of people importing them, and there was somebody basically shitting on that, being like, oh, it's like the fixie bike, it's like a hipster truck, it's so small, what are you gonna do with it? And it's realistically like, I don't know, like I do a lot of house projects, and like a small pickup truck would absolutely serve my needs. Like if you're not
Well, so the thing is with a lot of those is that they have like roughly the same storage and bed size as like one of the gigantic trucks, and they have significantly better mileage. So for all the people like, feeling like it's too expensive for gas, like these are a better option for you. The issue is that like they are not designed for like a highway collision at all. So like the big tank monster trucks you see driving around are gas guzzlers and have a slightly smaller bed sometimes, but also like when they crash into a 6-year-old, they will explode at the smithereens instead of allowing it to walk away. And that's a big thing we strive for here in the US of A. No, they're like every time we go to Germany for Gamescom or Europe for anything, right? There's cute little trucks everywhere, and I'm actually jealous.
Trucks.
Yeah,
that's like my whole thing is I don't have a folder for it because I'm a disaster, but whenever I go someplace and see a little truck, I take a picture of it. I love little trucks. I take funny pictures of them all the time. Sometimes I need to get someone to stand next to the truck to get a sense of scale. When I was in Spain, I saw like one of the smallest trucks I've ever seen, and I took a picture and I was like, whatever, it looks like a truck. And then I had my wife stand next to it, and it just looks like when you put like a Barbie next to a G.I. Joe vehicle, like it just didn't make any sense. I don't know. Like I'm fascinated by these things. It's also kind of, I don't know. It's kind of ironic because I'm a giant dude. Like I feel like if there's anybody who's sort of justified in having like a larger vehicle, it like sort of makes sense to be like, yeah, I'm a big guy, I need leg room for my big legs or whatever. But I'm like, I want the tiniest truck you can get. I want to just ride around like Waluigi with my knees by my ears and like hunched over the steering wheel.
That's probably because you like literally don't suffer from the small man syndrome that makes little guys buy big trucks. Like you do the opposite thing, right?
I guess
It's sort of
yeah.
like when you're 7 or 10 and you think like Super Mario's for babies and then Call of Duty's for grown-ups, and then you become a grown-up and you're like, this is for rotten little teenagers. I want to play Mario.
Yeah, something like that. I also like, I don't know, I barely drive. It would probably be very bad for me to have like a little tiny truck because I would inevitably get in a car accident and I would fly through the roof.
I think it would be great.
Crash test dummy.
You'd look like a fucking Richard Scary giraffe,
Yeah.
like get you a little.
That's the goal,
like
is
a
to
hole.
have a truck that's so small. Yeah, I can just poke my head out the top.
Have you ever been a giraffe for Halloween? You should
No.
be a giraffe.
No time like the present.
Just do like a regular ass animal Halloween.
Yeah, regular ass animal Halloween. Sure, why not? The most expensive truck. I just googled this. I don't know. I feel like the most expensive truck is probably the $6 to $8 million dump truck that weighs 360 tons. But if you Google most expensive truck, one of the ones that comes up is the Brabus G850 6x6, which sounds like an insane person's Subway order or like a thing you get kicked out of In-N-Out for trying to get. It's basically a company that they take like Mercedes and then they do aftermarket shit and tune them up and make them all extra luxurious. So it's one of those like Mercedes like G-Wagons, except it's got 6 wheels and it's longer. So you've probably seen one in like a promo for GTA Online. Like they're just one of those things. And those like regularly go for like over $1 million. And it's just, I don't know, it's fun. It's again, this is different demographics, different markets, different use cases. But I feel like if you're going to spring for $1 million for like a six-wheeled Mercedes truck, I don't know, maybe keep saving and buy a 360 metric ton dump truck.
Yeah,
get one of those.
Get a little yacht.
Get a little yacht. That's just called a boat, my dude. That's just a small boat. A small yacht.
You guys want to come to my yacht and you go out to the marina? It's just like a small boat that's shaped like a yacht, but it's tiny.
I think there could be a market for that as micro yachts, where it's
they do like Power Wheels, but for yachts? I'm sure the rich have that.
Just take regular boats, but make them look extra luxurious. Put fake windows on the side, so if you see it from a certain distance, you're like, wow, look at the size of that yacht. And then you get closer, like, this is just a speedboat that was much closer to me than I thought.
You know what's funny is that my grandfather was a truck driver for his whole life, and I
don't see what's funny about that.
It's actually not funny. My Italian grandfather, my no was in the merchant marines his whole life, which means they both spent their entire lives on huge vehicles trying to get away from their wives. But no, it's like truck driving was like a thing that was in my family, and it's one of those things where like we look at it from the outside looking in. Like, I'll put it this way. When you're a kid, you think fighter jets are cool, but like fighter jets don't bring you packages, right? So like I thought trucks were really cool when I was a kid, and then you'd look outside and see like a regular one, and then it would be like, here's that toy you ordered 6 months ago or whatever, right? Like my Amazon trucks drive up and down our neighborhoods all the time. That's just like, that's probably the most not popular truck, but I guess the busiest truck these days.
They keep busy.
Yeah, they stay busy. And it's like if we didn't have trucks, everything would fall apart because everything that we need comes in the trucks now, Yeah,
they're a big part of the infrastructure. I love trucks. I love that they're just kind of big, I don't know, big machines. I specifically mean like construction vehicles, which I know somebody pedantic about that is going to be like, no way. We got usually there's that stereotype of like construction workers like catcalling women. We almost got in a fight because we were like, not catcalling, but we were excitedly yelling at dudes doing construction work. Like, it was back when we worked in the city, and like we were, I don't know, going to get coffee or something, and there were these dudes they had a what do you call it, like a backhoe, and they were just going to town, fucking up the street. They had like the jackhammer attachment on there. They just go and just beating the shit out of the road, and we just walked by and both, without even like, just impulsively, we're just started cheering. We're like, yeah, kick its ass, get that wreck that asphalt. And this dude like turned around and did this like one of those this sort of, am I gonna have to kick your ass? And we were like, no, we like the truck. We're rooting for the truck.
We love your work. We're not like, San Francisco protesters. We're being ironic or whatever.
Yeah,
I don't care about that. If you have to tear up the street and find whatever you got to find, you do your thing. They tore up a highway near my parents' house growing up once, and they found woolly mammoth skeletons.
That's right.
And that was
awesome.
One of the fucking coolest things ever. And they put them in some like dumpy museum near us, and we got to go see them. And we'd be like, "Hey, let's go look at those highway mammoths."
Love that.
Fucking great.
Yeah, I don't know. I want to do. I think there's a place in Vegas you can do this where you just go and it's basically like the grown up version of like playing with Tonka trucks in a sandbox, but it's real construction vehicles, and it's like a gun range but for trucks. It's like a truck range. You can just go out there and dig a hole, push some dirt around.
That's great.
It sounds amazing. It sounds like a great time.
Can you make them fight?
I think that's frowned upon. I think they probably make you leave if you do that.
Do you think that would be their reaction if we made them fight? Would be a frown? I don't think that would crack the top 20 of their reaction. Just no,
thank
they're
you.
making them fight again.
Please don't.
You got their fucking arms all tangled and shit. Yours flips upside down.
One of the best truck movies ever made. The first 20 minutes of it is Maximum Overdrive.
Yes,
which is
I wrote a list of some of my favorite trucks. Maximum Overdrive was #1 on the list. If you haven't seen this, or even done read a book about it, which is less cool than just seeing the trucks. I'm all about reading Stephen King, but sometimes it's good to just see the truck.
This was it a short story or was it a book? Okay, so it also is infamously. I mean, he wrote a ton of short stories. He only directed one movie, and this was it. And he did it in like the peak of his substance troubles. And there's a trailer for it where it's just him just like coked out to the gills, just being like, "Hi, I'm Stephen King. Wouldn't it be wild if machines came to life and tried to kill everyone because of a funky green asteroid? Wouldn't that be terrifying? Well, I made a movie about it." And that's the movie.
It's worth pointing out that some of Stephen King's best stories are not saying he's not capable of writing great stories sober, because he has for decades now. But some of his best are ones he doesn't remember doing at all, where he was, and he talks about this in his On Writing book, about how he was having like 36 beers a day and then just doing tons of cocaine. And then he would write a story about a truck. And in, I want to say 2017 or 2018, I went to Bangor, Maine, where Stephen King's house is, where a bunch of his stories were inspired. And I went to this truck stop called Dinosaurs. And it is the truck stop that I think it's called Convents or something in the movie, that inspired Maximum Overdrive. And this place is fucking awesome. Max, you and I, like, if we ever have the chance to just spend the day there as people who don't drive trucks at all and don't really need anything from there, it's amazing. It's like one of those Bass Pro fishing shops meets like a sauna. Because there's all these like showers for the truck drivers upstairs. Oh, yeah. And then there's just fucking huge diner that when I went had a Shrek pinball table and some of the best chocolate peanut butter pie I've ever had in my entire life. And I think about this place constantly because it was just one of those like classic Americana, big fucking fried food plates, huge fucking trucks coming down the street, loud as hell, stinky, delicious food. Incredible place.
Sounds like a blast.
Yeah.
But yeah, once they get to the truck stop in Maximum Overdrive, it kind of slows to a roll. But the first 20 minutes,
I slowed to a roll when I went to that truck stop too, because I ate about 1,600 calories in 4 minutes.
Yeah, but no, they got AC/DC to do the entire soundtrack, and then has an AC/DC tour van get killed in the first 5 minutes, and we're just like, who's making the music if those dudes died in a drawbridge accident? It's just a good time. I like that. I don't know. It's just trucks are just there. I don't know. I also like tanks. Tanks are a whole different thing because they're there to just kill people. Trucks aren't really there to do that. If trucks kill people, it's kind of bad form. It's not really, again, frowned upon pretty seriously if trucks kill anybody. Yeah. Tanks, that's sort of their whole job. But like, I don't know. I like that construction equipment is sort of like the same appeal as tanks. But the whole thing is both of them are sort of like, they're kind of like dinosaurs, and that's a dumb thing to say, but they're powered by copious amounts of fossil fuels. They're these big, lumbering, spiky, loud things, And in a lot of, in some cases they're completely obsolete. Like you look at an old, like an old Sherman tank or something, and it's like, okay, like that, we don't use that anymore, but fuck, it's still a cool ass machine.
It's totally acceptable to say that trucks are like dinosaurs 24 minutes into an episode of a show called Trucks Rule.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like this is what you signed up for. There are science podcasts out there that will tell you why trucks are bad, and I will say, putting my science cap on, I agree. Haven't even listened yet, but sure. They seem bad for the earth generally. I agree. I think they should all be electric or whatever, and if the guys driving them need smog, then we can give them like little vape pens that stink, and we can put like a Bluetooth speaker in there that makes them real loud. Whatever we got to do. I agree with that. Science podcast, but also trucks are kind of like dinosaurs. And,
sure.
And they rule.
Well, again, they're these both sort of archetypal fascinations that little kids have, but there's enough there that, if you keep liking those things, you can wind up having a career associated with them. And in both cases, it involves digging. You got to dig holes. But yeah, I don't know. I'm looking at old ancient trucks. It's funny because at a certain point they're like the first truck is the Daimler Motor Lastwagen, which was released in 1896, and it was basically just like a hay wagon that has like a little engine on the back.
Yeah.
And again, that's like more in common with a carriage than it is with a 300 million pound dump truck or whatever. But I don't know. There's something kind of cool and crunchy about these vehicles, and I don't know, I love it.
I respect them. I was thinking about this too. Like you and I are kind of truckers, if you think about it.
No, we're not. Not by any stretch of the imagination. How are we like truckers?
Okay, so we both sit all day.
Nope.
And we look at windows, and we use microphones. Just like truckers.
That's really generous.
And instead of delivering important things that people need, we bring them videos they don't really want and audios. So
we're kind of in the business of traffic. We like traffic. Truckers don't like that one bit. Truckers also much better at getting to the point. They really kind of go from point A to point B.
You were on the truckers subreddit for a while, right? Because there's a thing that comes up all the time there that's sort of like, because when you look at something once and then Reddit's like, oh, you're that guy. It's like when you park your car at Exhibit's shop and he's like, aha, I heard you like fish tanks, and you're like, not that much. So the subreddit is always debating over where the worst place to drive is when you're a trucker, and almost all of them agree it's New York City, but like most of them say there's just like this one place in Southern California they all hate, and it's just and it's not even like traffic reasons, it's just bad. They just don't like it. And like those guys would drive through anything. Like literally, they drive across the country through the most boring shit on planet Earth, and they deal with it because you know what? They got snacks, they got music they get to listen to. They get to go to the truck stop and do whatever they want. They do there.
Yeah, they can do all sorts of stuff at the truck stop.
Should we talk about some of the great trucks in history of pop culture?
Sure.
Okay, I've assembled a short list as I usually do. This is unranked, but numbered.
Go on.
Okay, Good Trucks by Brian Altano, age 9. Okay, number 1, the truck from Terminator 2. How can you not?
I love it. I want to also point out, people are always like, oh yeah, Terminator. It's got to have Terminators. It's got to have like big fights. It's got to have maybe time travel. It's always got to have trucks too. There's trucks. There's truck fights in all those movies. The first one has a truck. The second one has a truck. Third one has a truck.
Even the truck is one of the best things in that movie, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And then even like Salvation has like a whole like, it's got like a future truck thing where they're like, it's like a flying truck that the robots bring the people on. But
yeah, and it's one of the newer ones has the truck when he's young.
Yeah. No, James Cameron was a truck driver for a while, so he has an appreciation for the truck, and he
did Space Truckers and Aliens. Like he's a fan of the truck.
There's a big ass dump truck in Avatar. They try to kick its ass.
Yeah, that's true.
They take the dinosaurs and they go fight the truck. It's a trucks versus dinosaurs movie. I'm just gonna put that out there.
I mean, like Terminator 2, everybody thinks about like, oh, Liquid Terminator does all these horrible stuff. He puts his turns his hand into a blade and puts it through the phone or whatever. Pretends he's the dog. Whatever he does. He does all sorts of shit.
Hate that movie. The guy pretends he's a dog. Awful. Can't stand it.
Can he turn into a dog?
No.
How do you know that?
He could turn into like a really huge dog.
Wait, so it would have to be adult What if like Schwarzenegger shot him in the belly with a shotgun and he split in half, could he become two dogs?
No, he would turn back. No, it's against the rules.
I don't know about that.
I think he could turn into like a deer. Like an animal that's exactly the same size as a person. I think he could turn into a deer. But what would be the advantage of that?
Doesn't he turns into like a guy that's fatter than the regular T-1000, right?
Yeah, but he's short.
So I disagree.
He's like
able to
shorter,
gain, if he's able to gain mass, then that means he's able to lose mass.
Maybe he makes like a balloon in the middle. I don't.
And become a big dog.
Why would?
It'd be really funny if like Arnold Schwarzenegger's running around trying to find this guy, and all of a sudden he's like, "Oh, look, it's a dog." And
I think he could maybe turn into two dogs that were fighting, but they'd have to stay connected.
This is one. Oh, they have to stay connected.
Yeah, so they'd have to be two dogs like fighting over like a, I don't know.
Why would they have to be fighting? What if they were sitting perfectly still under a blanket and you didn't know they were conjoined?
Could he make blankets? I guess he could make blankets. He turns into a floor, so
there
yeah,
could
probably
be a blanket. There are blankets in Terminator. There's houses. Anyway, number 2, the truck that Venom rides in that meme. I love that. That's from the Spider-Man animated series.
Man, you went from like one of the most beloved truck movies to like a JPEG from an episode of a cartoon show from 30 years ago that just happened to get memed. Okay, sure, whatever.
I love that. I love that. We talked about Optimus Prime. We can do that more if you would like. Optimus Prime is obviously great. One of the first characters I ever saw die in a movie that he came back, right? Does he come back? Yeah, he comes back. I remember him and Duke in the G.I. Joe movie died, and I rented those like within like the same month or two as a kid, and I was like, wow, is this what they do with all kids movies? And then I watched
Prime doesn't come back.
He doesn't come back, right?
No, they like promote Rodimus. You know,
right.
They give him like he's Rodimus Prime or whatever.
Yeah, he doesn't come back. He's
no,
like
but they were making
parents.
the G.I. Joe movie, and then they killed off Optimus Prime, and everyone got mad at them, and they were like, I guess Duke needs to live, and they're just the last like 5 seconds of that movie is like, great news, everybody, Duke's okay. Anyway, roll the credits. And it's just...
Number 4, the biggest truck that they have in Mad Max. Mad Max is a movie, especially the new one, the George Miller ones, full of great trucks, just tons. Like that whole there's one of the best trucking convoys in history.
The War Rig.
Movie. Yeah, but the biggest one is the best one, but which is the Rule of Truck.
Which is the biggest one?
It's the big black one. There's a huge one that's the biggest of the trucks.
Which movie?
Are you a fake Mad Max fan? In the George Miller Mad Max, there's the biggest truck there is the best one.
In the original Mad Max, or in Fury Road, or in what?
Road Warrior? Fury Road.
Truck. The biggest truck in Fury Road. Okay.
Yeah, just look at the pictures of the trucks and see the biggest one. That's the one that wins. Sort of like the T-Rex.
Sure. What other trucks you got over there?
Number 5, the truck that chases you for a half hour in Uncharted 4. I don't think that's my favorite game, but there's a truck it's like a fucking nuisance animal in that game that chases you, and it's an incredible set piece.
Is that in Uncharted 4? Isn't that in 2?
There's another truck in 2 that chases you.
There's also there's a truck that chases you for the entirety of the first one, right?
Yes, I think so.
Like you're on an island that doesn't have roads, but this truck just keeps showing up and like shooting at you like every 5 minutes, and you're like, yeah, okay.
That's a good one. Number 6, the truck they drive in Tremors that makes the Tremors really bad. The Tremors hate that truck. They also have to stand on it sometimes to be like, don't move, there's Tremors. Because it's safe, because if you stand on the ground, the Tremors know about it. That's a great truck. It's a regular truck, but I like any truck that makes sci-fi creatures pissed off. Number 7, the truck in the Dawn of the Dead remake that they put chainsaws in.
That's a bus.
It's a bus they turned into a truck because they put armor on it. When is a bus a truck?
It's not.
No, it is. I think if you take a bus and you put armor on it and you put chainsaws in it, it's a truck.
It's a tank.
Why is it a tank?
It's like an APC.
You keep trying to talk about tanks on this episode. No tanks.
Thank you very much.
Number 9, I think. Did
you number it or not?
I forgot. The trucks in so in Mario Kart World, which I've been playing a lot, there's a lot of really good trucks, and one of them, they're all small like European trucks, but they put huge dumb things in the back, like a surfboard you can jump off of, or like these bamboo pipes they look like that you can use as a ramp. But some of them just have the big barrels from Donkey Kong, and they're fucking comically oversized, and you drive into them and it shoots you super fast. In that game, you can also drive into the back of a truck and turn into the truck and do vehicular manslaughter through the Mushroom Kingdom, which I think is great. And number 10, I think, is the Pizza Planet delivery truck from Toy Story that also appeared. It appears in like half a dozen other Pixar movies. And the reason I love this is it combines a lot of the stuff I love, which is number 1, trucks, number 2, pizza, and number 3, rocket ships. There's a little rocket ship on top of the truck that says Pizza Planet, and it's a shitty truck. It's not. It's dirty. It's rusty. It's probably in Cars, but I hate those movies, even though I love Pixar and I love trucks.
Okay.
That's my list so far.
That's pretty good. I got a question.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know the power loader in Aliens?
Yeah.
So that's made by Caterpillar. That's like made by a truck company.
Okay.
Is it a truck?
Doesn't have wheels.
No.
Yeah, so it's not
but
a truck.
bulldozer doesn't have wheels, and that's a truck. It's got treads.
I wouldn't call a bulldozer a truck.
It's a truck.
Okay, so wait, does the power loader have treads?
It's got like little feet. It doesn't have
It's got
treads.
legs.
Does it have treads? I don't know.
No, I don't think it has treads.
You can't see the bottom of that.
Don't you have a toy of it like within reach of you at any moment?
I don't know where I put that. It's around somewhere. But
how
no,
do you lose a power loader?
I don't know. Like we did this.
I don't think
something,
it's a truck.
We're trying to do some like list of like mechs. We're doing something. You know, and this is how made up our job is we had some spreadsheet that was like, what's the best mech? Let's have everyone vote on which is the best mech. And there was all these like stupid caveats where they're like, no, Ratatouille doesn't count as a mech because it's not metal, and then no, the power loader doesn't count as a mech because it's too small. It's like an exoskeleton. But I feel like by that, like that thing is not there to fight Queen Aliens. That's just a thing they use it for. It's basically a forklift. Like like Ripley gets in it to, you know, first she's like using it to pick up some boxes, and then afterwards she's like, you know, beats the shit out of the Queen Alien with it. But that's a forklift.
I guess it's closer to a forklift than it is clothes, but it's both. You know,
you raise an interesting point.
Yeah, if you were to like on the. I guess like on the Venn diagram, it would be closer to forklift than clothes.
Okay, so if there was a flying truck,
yeah,
and there's the power loader, and they both were like yellow, and they have like if there was like a flying dump truck, would that be more or less of a truck than the power loader? Because a truck is, you know, by definition, it's on the ground because we don't have ways of making them fly, right?
I think a truck that could fly would be closer to to a truck than it would a clothes.
Okay, I'm glad we got to the bottom of this. That's an interesting point. You raised
I'm very confused. Okay, no, I think so. For people who don't, we're talking about the power loader from the end of Aliens, right?
Right.
The big yellow thing that Ripley gets into, you know, says motherfucker, and for the first time in that franchise, she
says bitch.
Oh, you bitch. Yeah.
No, and then the Predator says motherfucker.
Yeah, and then they say bitch again in Romulus. They say the same thing.
I get it.
Because remember it's a callback.
Right.
But yeah, we're talking about that. I don't think it's really a truck, but I see your point. I'm not gonna die on this hill.
You ever seen a spider crane?
No.
They're awesome. They're like they look like some shit you'd fight in Half-Life or something. Like they're just they've got big 4 like spider legs, which I don't think they use to walk. I think they're just for stabilizing it, but they're motorized, so they can kind of move them around. And then they have little treads on the bottom, like on their butt. And then they have a big crane on top. And I don't know, they're cool. They're cool looking. But I feel like that is close. It's like it's got the vestiges of a power loader in there.
Yeah. I agree.
Power loader. It's a loader. It's in the name.
No, it is hard to explain to people that this is we talk about that sometimes at work we have to debate which of these things. I had a 15-minute meeting about Donkey Kong in my car the other day while driving my kid to summer camp, and then showed up and there's like firemen and construction workers dropping off their kids, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna be a fucking idiot all day. No, so I think that there have been and will continue to be great trucks to celebrate through all of time. That's my guess.
Because you know why?
because trucks roll.
They're gonna keep on trucking. That's why.
Oh yeah, that is true. They will.
What's your favorite truck? Like a specific non-copyrighted truck, not a truck that's a celebrity from a film, but like an actual truck you might see out in the world. What's your favorite?
My favorite truck. I don't know if I have.
Mine's a Bobcat.
Bobcats are cool. I mean, like, I these are copyrighted, but I love monster trucks. I love the idea.
Yeah.
I love I like you and I have how many, you've been to what? How many, a couple of monster truck rallies?
If you remember the number, you haven't been into enough.
Yeah, right. I think I've only been to 2, maybe 3 if I went to one when I was a kid. I might have even gone with 2 with you. I don't even know. Lost track because you don't show up to those things sober and you don't leave soberer, basically. Unless you're 6 and then, hopefully your dad it took public transportation or an Uber. But no, I love monster trucks. I love going to see the cars fight each other, and they have animal body parts on them, and sometimes they have big arms and skulls, shark fins and shit like that, and roll cages. I love all that shit. And like I live in the North Bay in California, and regularly they do, because there's more space here than when I lived in San Francisco. When I lived in San Francisco, I don't think they do monster truck rallies there. Like I think they would probably protest those things for some odd reason, right? Also, where would they go? Like AT&T Park, where the baseball players sleep or whatever.
I would like that. It'd be great.
I would like that too. I'd like that better than fucking Bon Jovi showing up.
There was a really cool article a couple years ago in the most unlikely of places, in the New Yorker. There was an article about the geology of monster truck rallies.
Oh.
Because they don't bring that dirt with them. They have to use the dirt that's there.
Oh.
But depending on where they're having a monster truck rally, like the quality and the, composure of the dirt absolutely affects what kind of a monster truck rally it is.
Oh, interesting. Like they can do better flips if the dirt is crunchy or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Less dusty. And it's probably better for the crowd when they're not just kicking up.
Yeah, exactly. They can't
clouds.
just use, like, if they just use sand, it's probably a shitty time.
Mm-hmm.
But the funny thing about one thing that all types of earth, dirt, sand, whatever, have in common is that the second that Gravedigger tries to go off a ramp made of it, the wheel will fly off.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah, it's true. Gravedigger will just be like, oh, and just like his wheel bounces off and he has to sit down.
I never thought about how like a sport, it's not a sport, right? I think it's closer to wrestling than it is basketball.
Yeah.
Although I guess you could dunk on somebody.
I don't know what the objective of a monster truck rally is. I'm too excited to even keep track of that.
Look cool as hell. I think they do track points.
Yeah. But it's like, whose line is it anyway? They're just kind of yelling and,
They're doing a destruction derby near me, and I realized I didn't know what that actually meant. Like it's something I love the idea of, and I looked it up and I was like, I think I know what this means. And I was pretty close, right? Like I think again, there's a point system and stuff like that, but most people aren't paying attention to that on their, 6th tall boy or whatever. And that's basically when just the human cars crash into each other as hard as possible and try to break each other apart. But I took my kid to a monster truck rally last year, and we sat way closer than I wanted to, and there was this monster truck that it was like a regular truck that pulled up, and over the course of what felt like 45 minutes, the top of it opened up and a little shitty dinosaur head came out, and then little shitty robot hands came out, and it picked up like a crunchy just a shitty Oldsmobile or whatever, some piece of shit car that your grandfather drove 50 years ago, right? And it picked it up and just like over the course of, I swear to God, fucking 20 minutes, it slowly chewed through the middle of this thing. Like it was like watching like a dog eat a big bone. And it was just like, and it just slowly.
Truckosaurus?
No, it was like a shitty.
Okay. It was like Truckosaurus's nephew or something, like.
Yeah, like a Truckosaurus Junior or whatever. It was a bootleg Truckosaurus.
Sort of.
It was a Truckosaurus of, yeah. And it chewed through this thing, and then after the course of like 20 minutes, it snapped in half, but not even like snapped. It was just like sort of like when you tear bread that's like a day old, and it sort of dangles, and then you pull again, and then it it's in two pieces, and the crowd was like, yeah. Like it was like this, so like, all right, and my kid's like, can we leave, it's loud, I'm not having fun, this was fun for a minute. And I was like, I gotta see this guy get through this fucking car. And he just tore through it, very, very slowly,
I love
very
how
slowly.
that's like the, you know, there's the cartoon ideal, you know, where somebody takes like an axe and they chop straight through a tree, or like a boa constrictor just goes gulp and swallows somebody. But in reality, it's like this takes several hours of just steady, you know, like the boa constrictor swallowing something is just like
Yeah,
gradually, you know.
yeah, no, it's like if somebody had been hit by a truck and then they were in a coma for 6 months and they woke up, and you gave them like a 6 foot party sub, and you were like, chew through the middle of this thing, and their whole family is standing around, they're like, come on, you can do this, you can do this. And he's like, I don't know, my motor skills are not. And then he gets through it and they're like, yeah, you're back, all right. That's what it felt like. And then we got up and left. But I want to go again.
You know that whole trend of like the, you know, there's like the Willet blend, there's like the pneumatic press guys. I don't know if there's one out there that's just a steamroller, but I want that. I want someone who just drives over shit with a steamroller, and I want the first thing to be a 6 foot party sub.
You and were we talking about this on the show about how we used to go to the train tracks and put all sorts of shit there to flatten it?
Were we? I don't know. Remember what we talk about for fun, or what we talk about on the radio,
for work.
For fun.
No, I used to go to the my grandmother would come from Hoboken, New Jersey, and she would meet us at the train station in our town, and we would go to pick her up because she didn't drive. We would go there, and we'd get there a couple minutes early, and we'd be like, Dad, can we get there early so we can put all sorts of shit on the train track? And he was the son of a truck driver from Jersey City, so he was like, yeah, I don't give a shit, put whatever you want on there. So we'd take the GI Joes that had the, you know, the when their penis is ripped or whatever, their legs didn't work anymore, and then fucking pennies, rocks, coins, all sorts of shit, and put it all over the train track. And then my grandmother would come, we'd give her a big hug, oh, she'd be like, oh, I brought you presents and stuff like that, and we'd be like, we got some cool stuff too, check it out. And the train would move away, and we just pick up all the shit that we got off the fucking flattened action figures and, you know, long pennies.
Long pennies are great. No, I used to live, I don't know if I lived on the wrong or the right side of the tracks, but I lived right next to them when I lived in Connecticut, in the middle of nowhere. And it was like this, it was small enough town that we didn't even have a railroad crossing. And so the train would just come through. Also, I like that we're like, let's talk about trucks. Anyway, trains, which is not, it's just trucks on rails. But no, this train would come through, and it'd go like, it would just have to make its own little ding, 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 whatever. It would come through, and it would slow down. So, you know, if it hit a kid, it would just maim them severely and then eventually kill them slowly, as opposed to just instantly killing them. But they didn't have any like safety shit up there. They didn't have any like, don't cross the thing, don't go over there. They would slow down. If it was nighttime, a dude would lean out of the train on each side and just throw down a road flare. And all the kids in the neighborhood would just wait until the train was gone, and we'd pick up the road flare and like throw it at each other and shit. But of course, we'd also put pennies down and stuff like that. We just go up there and fuck with the train all the time. It was great. It was an awesome time. My friend got in trouble because one time the train was rolling through town, and he just like hopped on the side of it like a hobo and just rode it through town. And then some dude was driving by, and he saw my friend hang off, and was like, ah! And he called up my friend's mom. I was like, Barbara, you'll never guess what I just saw. Christopher was on the side of the train, and he got in big trouble. And so as revenge for him getting in trouble, we took one of his mom's butter knives and stabbed it in the train the next time it came through. And she never saw that butter knife again.
You stabbed the train with it. Did you ever grab one of the road flares as the train was going away and then go, hey, 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 like Ian Malcolm, and then it turns around?
We probably did. Doing impressions of Jurassic Park was one of the most popular things to do back then. So
I was thinking, you know, there are trucks in that movie. Yeah, like everybody thinks about the SUVs, right? The Jeeps. But they keep Raptors in trucks. That's how they get them. They get them.
Well, the Lost World has a bunch of great trucks in it. They got all the cool. They got the special one that has like the little seat comes off the side so they can shoot nets at parasaurolophuses or whatever.
Yeah,
Pachycephalosaurus. I like how the first Jurassic Park is like, here's all these dinosaurs that you know, and the second one is like, I can't pronounce that animal.
Yeah, they're like, hey, remember that dinosaur that looks like when Homer Simpson gets hit in the head?
Yeah. That Homer Simpson dinosaur that just he
They're
bangs
like, well,
people.
we're gonna have a guy in short shorts catch him with like a loop around his neck. You cool with that? And
What
like,
could
yeah,
go
sure,
wrong?
man. Throw it
Just
in the
same
fucking
shit they
action
use to
figure.
get feral cats down at the shelter. Like,
Mhm.
give me a break.
Put it in
Anyway,
the action figure aisle. I'll buy it.
I think this conversation is about to run out of gas, so we are going to truck stop this conversation. But this is fun. Thank you for talking to me about trucks, and apologies to anybody who's been sitting there, possibly in the cab of a large motor vehicle, screaming at whatever it is this sound is coming out, telling us how wrong we are about trucks. If you want to tell us how wrong we are about trucks or share some valid truck information, you can send us an email, thisthingrules@gmail.com, or you can head to patreon.com/thisthingrules and join for free or for $1 or for $5 or whatever, and leave a comment over there. Or you can find us on all the various social media platforms of your choice and check us out. And on that note, goodbye.
Yeah, and if you're listening from a truck right now and you're a fan of this show, I want you to pull that big thing above you.
If you can't see it, but we're both doing that thing, that gesture
pull
you
that
do.
big thing.
Yeah.
The horn.
Yeah.
Question mark.
I think it's a horn.
Give us 2 pumps.
Yeah.
One for Brian, one for Max. Big, loud, and I don't know if that's a code for something bad
Womp
at your
womp.
job. But do it do it at night. You don't have to do it right this. Save it for later. Like when you fart. Put it away later.
I don't even know where you're going with this.
Just
but anyway,
give us 2 big honks.
Yeah.
Because trucks rule.
Yeah, we love the truck. Good
2
night.
big tugs on the truck rope.
Honk honk. Before we go, just a reminder, This Thing Rules is made possible thanks to the support of our Patreon backers. If you'd like to help us keep the lights on and get some extra bonus stuff for yourself, you can go kick us $1 or $2 at patreon.com/thisthingrules. But really, every little comment, like, subscribe, share, or other form of engagement goes a long way. So if you've got a minute, give us a plug on social media, or go give us a nice review on iTunes, or just write something weird. I don't care. It's nice that you made the effort. And finally, a big, huge, extra special thank you to Patreon executive producers for this month: Ben Burkhalter, Anthony DePiro, Nick Vaughn, Paul Atienza, Kevin Lemasurier, Steve Cam, Caleb Hilliard, Billy McKendry, and Chip Chunkling. Thank you so much for your continued support. You rule.
So come and spend some time with me and my friends at the Dixie Boy. Spend some time in the dark.
Please don't let us be in the dark. Help me.
I'm gonna scare the hell out of you.